baby. It's your boys, D Bird and DJ B, and we are here to talk about our favorite reality show, Survivor, baby. It's the finale. What's up, DJ B?
I'm very excited about this.
Yeah. They're doing a two-parter. Two-part. We only got one part.
2 parts.
It's like, what are you, fucking Harry Potter? You just want to drag it out forever?
Heard that.
Ugh. So frustrating. Give me what I want now. Give it all.
Yeah. I mean, let's just get the show on the road. I feel like every year it's like we're gonna do like it used to be like season finales, final 4. Then it was like 5. Now it's 6. When are we gonna stop doing these like bloviated season finales?
I know, right? I mean, and realistically, like back in the day, and I could be wrong because it's been a minute since I've seen like old seasons, but like I'm pretty sure they kept on chopping and chopping and chopping down to like final 4 or 3. And now we're like, oh, finale at 6. You're like, wait, what? How?
Yeah. I mean, I'm here for it though. Like if we get 90-minute eps instead of 60-minute eps, let's bring on the bacon, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess if you got it like that, this is where hip hop and reality TV combine, where we use all the slang terms we know to talk about finales and part 2s.
Yeah. No such thing as halfway crooks.
Hey. All right. Well, this episode started off with Jeff kind of giving us a rundown of what he thinks each person's role in the game is so far.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The first thing that my girl says as we're watching, she's like, why does he have to walk towards the camera? Like, because it shows him just kind of, walking towards the camera as it's panning out. It's like, why does he have to do that? Why doesn't he just stay there?
I think he's just trying to show us that he's ageless because that man has looked the same since I was a small child.
Yeah, that was also a comment of like, does he have hair? Why is he always wearing a hat? But his hairline looks immaculate. So guy probably just likes to protect himself from the sun.
Man's got options. More power to him.
Yeah. I sent you the reel on Instagram too of his first casting for Survivor as the host. Did you look at that?
When did you send it?
Like it must have been a couple days ago. I ran across an old reel and it was Jeff Probst's audition tape to be like the host of Survivor, 30 years ago or something. And it was so funny because it showed him initially like walking down the streets of Hollywood, like, yeah, like pointing and like underneath it says TV host. And then it has like a bunch of clips of him in infomercials, which I guess he had done a bunch of before this.
Oh man, I'm terrible. Oh god, he looks like it's like straight out of the 70s. Like he's got his shirt unbuttoned to his belly button. So I'm a terrible Instagram person because I have like 16 unread messages and they're from like months ago.
Fair.
He's rollerblading, tripping over benches. This is great podcasting with me just watching something that no one else could see and then talking about it.
Well, do yourself a favor, all you thousands of viewers that tune into our show. Go check out Jeff Probst's audition for Survivor TV show host. It is hilarious. And it is every bit of weird, goofy 90s nostalgia that you can possibly imagine. And it really does make you wonder, how the hell did he get this gig? I don't know who saw this and was like, yep, that's the guy.
Oh man, you send me stuff fairly frequently and I feel like a dick now because you were sending me stuff like pre-Halloween and I never answered or looked at it. Oh,
well, if it makes you feel any better, I saw a reel, probably thought about you, sent it, and then forgot all about it. So I genuinely have no recollection of anything I sent you outside of this Jeff Probst thing.
But I feel like a bad friend. And you thought of me, and I didn't even think to check my Instagram.
Well, you make up for it in other ways by dissecting Survivor season 47 with me every week.
And we're back on track. That's what a good host does. Suck it, Probst.
Yeah, you don't know shit about hosting. Host of the most. So yeah, he's giving rundowns of all the players still in the game. I thought it was interesting. He said Rachel's the biggest threat in the game, and literally just calls it out like that. I was like, damn, spoiler. Okay.
I mean, I think he's pandering like to at home. If she somehow doesn't win, then she gets that like fan vote that we talked about last episode.
Yeah. Well, there's no way she doesn't. I mean, I'd give it to her.
Yeah, but you would.
Hey, dab. But like, yeah, I don't know. You kind of have to get her out. It's at this point, she has so much more threat than Genevieve or anyone else. Like, you have to. Other comments he made, Sue, she's the only Tuku left. Andy flipped. Sue wants to rip his head off his shoulders. Andy says something about like, yeah, it's the coolest move that's ever been done. And like, maybe, but fuck you, you know?
It was a cool move, but you can't say like the coolest ever. Come on, man. I don't know. I equate it to basketball, right? Like you and I both love the sport.
Yes.
I'd say a handful of times every year, I'm like, oh, that's the dunk of the year.
Yeah.
And like sometimes like Ant Edwards or whoever, or John Morant, like when he had that reverse double pump dunk a couple weeks ago, like that's cool, but he's never gonna say like that's cooler than Vince Carter jumping over Frederick Weiss in the Olympics, right? Like,
no,
pay some homage to the past, my friend.
You got to. And you're looking at the owner of an authentico VHS tape, which recorded from TBS the 1999 slam dunk competition, where Vince Carter dunked and then like had his entire forearm in the rim, bounced off. That was sweet. Did the 360 windmill.
Best dunk competition ever. Followed number 2. Some people are gonna think I'm saying Jordan or Wilkins. No, nay. I'm saying Aaron Gordon versus Zach LaVine, where Aaron Gordon took the ball off the top of the mascot's head, went under his butt, and still dunked. And I think that's the best dunk I've ever seen in my life, outside of the in-game dunk that Vince Carter, like 3 in-game dunks Vince Carter's had.
Dude, would you say best dunker of all time, Vince Carter?
Yeah. It's not close for me. But that was also like peak of my like junior high school.
Yeah.
And so that's probably when I was most invested in like idolizing athletes.
Probably same. I mean, not to completely derail the Survivor podcast with a basketball from the 90s, but like, it was just different. Like that was kind of the height of creativity, I thought, of like, let's just see the craziest dunk I can do in game. Whereas like back in the day is all about efficiency. It's like, yeah, you have these, 7-foot freaks who just kind of outstretch their arms and then just put the ball through the hoop.
Yeah, I think that era changed basketball. Like not only were people doing things in game that you had never seen before, but that was also like the height of the And One mixtape and people understanding like what street ball was like at like the Rucker and Wilson and all these places. And like that was when I fell in love with playing basketball in the park. Like there's a couple lit courts around, and like that was the coolest thing to do during summers, is just stay up until the lights went out.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember those days. So Andy's basically the Vince Carter of Survivor. And because of this, Sue hates him. Teeny's pissed because they just pulled off a crazy blindside in Operation Italy, which to his credit was all Andy's doing. And they got out. Sue's number 1, Caroline. You had to say goodbye to your girl. Oh,
Caroline.
Caroline.
Man, that was tough. But it's not for nothing. Your girl's still in there.
And then the funny part is they all go back to camp after tribal. And now Sam and Genevieve are playing like, okay, how do we get back in this game? So they talk to Teeny. Teeny's like, yeah, it seemed like you guys knew you were gonna do that. And Sam tells Teeny it was an accident. Again, they just lie straight to her face, like, yeah, I had no idea. Genevieve like has this idol. I was gonna try to have her play it for me, and then somehow Andy flipped. Ugh, who would have known? So they're really kind of simultaneously trying to be like, no, we're still good. Andy's the one you should hate. And like, look at that target. It's not us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, absolutely mind blowing. And I don't think Teeny was any the wiser. Like, I think she's just kind of like,
bought it.
Yeah, you told me this, so it must be true. It doesn't matter how many times you lie to this person. She's like, and bless her. She's so sweet that she has the capacity to just get lied to and then be like, let's just start over. Let's hit the reset button.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't harbor any ill will or animosity. She's just like,
not like a Sue, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I mean, Teeny got teenied again. I don't know.
Got teenied.
I don't know how else to say it.
And somehow she like leaves that conversation with Sam, wanting to work with Sam and Genevieve.
Yeah, I think that's what's most perplexing is like, she still has 3, right? There were still 3 people, or like she's one of the 3 people who split votes still.
Yeah.
So like, why would it make sense to you to just jump over to the people who just blatantly lied to you and pulled a fast one on you?
And, maybe that speaks to Sam's game of his, charisma, his social game, convincing Teeny, like, yeah, crazy, that Andy guy. Yeah, I don't know. It's totally an accident. We knew we were on the bottom. She's like, yeah. Oh, okay. So he's basically saying, like, us 2 bottom ones are now tools at your disposal. Oh, high one, Teeny. And it's so easy.
I know you said it says a lot about Sam's game, but I think it says more about Teeny's. Like, Sam doesn't fumble when he's holding it, but he's not going to break off an 80-yard run. He's just going to fall forward. And like, he's just playing it totally safe right now. And for Teeny, somebody who's just, I don't know, the most gullible person this season, it works. You don't have to be too creative.
Yeah. So while they're all talking and kind of debriefing about like, here's what happened at Tribal, total accident. What? Rachel army crawls out there to sneak a little listen. She knew that, oh yeah, they're going to be talking, kind of makes her way through the darkness. And I always love when they're like, it's not like it looks, on the couch with the night vision. Like, I can't see a fucking thing, but I still like worked my way through.
Yeah. And it's one of those classic Survivor moments when happen, right? It's like you're on the edge of your seat because you're like, is she gonna get hurt?
Yeah.
Like, are they gonna because it's pitch black. I mean, there's been times that when Survivor's shown you like what it looks like without the camera lights and everything like that. So like, we know like she won't be seen, but there's always the potential that you like break a branch or like
cracking twigs.
Yeah, exactly. And so I don't know. I'm equal parts nervous for the person spying and excited that they're going to get information.
Totally. So she hears Teeny give it up to Sam and Genevieve that she has a block a vote. She finds out that Genevieve has an idol. Basically just realized she can't trust Teeny. Teeny has, within, the span of a 5-second conversation, flipped back to the other side. So yeah, she's like, all right, Teeny's up against me. Mm-hmm. Then the next thing we see, Sue wakes up early in the morning. She's feeling broken about losing Caroline. She stands up, like almost falls over. Like, what the hell is she going to get medevaced? You know,
Yeah.
her 26-year-old age is showing. But basically, she goes idol hunting. She's like, well, my number one just got out. You know, I gotta do something in here. And even though she has an idol
Right.
already,
That's where I was like, your back's really not against the wall. You're not getting any votes cast on you. Everybody's fine just watching you like waltz alongside them to the final three because you're not a threat. Why are you going to put a target on your back by idol hunting right now when no one knows that you have the idol
no one
despite you
knows.
getting red paint all over yourself? Like,
Yeah,
it was baffling to me why she would do that.
me too. Honestly, like you have an idol, there's 6 left. Like, you're not really a threat. Uh, you're in the numbers, really. So what the fuck? But anyways, she goes searching for an idol. Rachel finds her frantically digging around the well and is like, "Look, you don't have to dig anymore. I have the idol, so you don't have to worry about it. I've got one." And basically says like, "Teeny's against us, but like let's pretend that she's still here." And this is where I was like, oh no, she told Sue about her idol.
Mm-hmm.
But ironically, as nervous as that made me, it ended up working out because she accurately read Sue is one of those old fucking Survivor 1.0 players that is just so goddamn loyal. It's like, oh, you shared information with me. I guess I will follow you to the end of the earth.
Well, I mean, the blueprint's set out, right? She's done it twice before. Anytime
Yeah.
someone goes to her first and shares something, she's like, I am indebted for you or to you forever. Like
Forever.
there's nothing that's going to sway me now. Like, and so again, just a clutch move by Rachel. And she doesn't have anything to lose too. She knows like it's probably gonna be me if I don't win immunity because Jeff's already painted me to the entire world as being the biggest threat.
Yeah, why don't you just like grab a paintbrush and then just paint a big target on the back of my back, just a big red X. So they obviously are interested in figuring out, oh, what's the next immunity challenge going to be? Well, they get some tree mail, they head off. The next challenge, you have to swim through the water, bob and weave this buoy to get to the end of a platform where you finish a survivor puzzle. The winner gets immunity and a trip to the sanctuary with just steaks and baked potatoes and wine, all the good shit. So everyone's pushing their buoy on a rope through the water. Sue, I thought was funny because she initially dove past her buoy. I was like, what are you doing? Beautiful dive, like great
It was.
form.
You get a lot of goofy dives, but hers that's an old school thing. Old people know how to dive.
That is true. The oldies know proper diving
They
technique.
do. I don't know what's going on. These kids don't get it. It's like half belly flop or I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not very strong in water. I would do the whole like jump feet first with my nose plugged, I think. Just jump as far as you can, feet first. Let's go.
I would definitely judge you.
I mean, can you dive? Can you do a swan dive?
I mean, I haven't done it since I was a child, but this body won't lose it.
It's like riding a bike in the water.
I feel like I'd be all right diving. I would definitely go for it.
Mm.
I mean, if I'm doing Survivor, there was the last time I dove, we were in South Lake Tahoe and we were partaking in some fun, playing a little one-handed wiffle ball on the beach. And if you strike out, you have to take a shot. Anyways, we thought it would be really fun to jump off these docks, and we didn't realize they were privately owned. So a guy started chasing me. Beautiful swan dive. He wasn't catching me. He was not catching me.
Also, what are you gonna do if you catch him? Beat him up for what? Being on your dock?
I was somewhere between Phelps and Spitz out there, so the way I was stroking it, there's no chance.
Okay. I don't need to know about you taking shots and stroking it, but stories for another time, maybe.
talking about Swimming Bird.
Sure. So everyone had their own forms. Some swan dives, some went feet first, like I would. But everyone reaches the puzzle platform around the same time. It ends up becoming a showdown between Rachel and Genevieve. And Jeff was funny. He was roasting Andy the whole time. It's like, Andy's just gonna look next door. You might as well just have more fun watching like I'm doing.
That was great. He's like, and remember, if you're looking, that means you're losing and you're behind. I was like, that is fantastic, Jeff.
So
Carry
good.
on.
Keep going. So yeah, it was neck and neck. Eventually, like you could kind of tell there was one clear in the lead. It was Genevieve, and she runs off with individual immunity. Who will she take? Her one person. First up is Sue, and he allots Genevieve one more person to take, and it's Teeny. So number one pick, Sue, Teeny the backup. They all head off for some steak and wine at the sanctuary.
Which, honestly, that's a pretty money meal. And especially for Teeny, knowing that red wine's involved, oh, girl, we're going to ball.
If there's one thing to get yourself into her good graces, it's wine. Like, that's another one of those, like, it feels like a 23-year-old thing of like, ooh, but alcohol, am I right? It's pretty cool. Yeah, we're cool, right?
Oh, man. I just love when they're there. Like, everybody's kind of eating, and then all of a sudden you see the bottle move, and he just does this huge pour. And you can tell when it hits her too. Like, she talks different, like she slouches a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
Just feeling herself.
Well, have you ever like gone out night of drinking and you just like forgot to eat? Imagine like starving on Survivor, having no food in your body, and then having alcohol. That'd be crazy.
Well, and I feel like wine hits different too. Like, it goes straight to your head in a way that like beer doesn't. So I always feel like wine hits me faster than beer. And
Right.
yeah, if I was malnourished and drinking, like I'm over 200 pounds, I'd still be toast. And she's got to be what, like $130.
Yeah. I did. She was pretty funny with the wine though. Like, she was pouring massive pours. They'd be like, "Oh, Teeny, do you want some juice?" And she's like, "I'll pass on the juice. I've got my juice. Like, I got my wine. Glug, glug, glug." Okay.
So while she's there getting schlammered, it's Sue, Genevieve, and Teeny. And Teeny's like, well, yeah, plus Genevieve's got her idol. And then Genevieve's like, oh, God, she just said I had an idol. Sue didn't know. And and Teeny's like, I mean, this hypothetical idol that might not be there real.
She total foot in the mouth, like let it slide. But because it's fake, like this played perfectly into Genevieve, because now Teeny's feeling like she owes Genevieve something. Like, oh no, I can't believe I let that slip. Dumb Teeny. And Genevieve's like, no, perfect. Everyone should think I have this idol so they don't, vote me out.
And you just validated it. Like, I don't have to do any more legwork to convince anybody that this is a real thing. Like, boom, roasted. And you know what? Teeny got played by Genevieve one more time.
One more time. And Teeny also is kind of talking about like Rachel. She's realizing, she's like, well, I'll never beat her in a puzzle. I'll never beat her in fire. And I was just thinking, who would you beat? Name any fucking person on this island. You can say the same. You're not going to beat them on anything.
I mean, but like,
useless.
That's a terrible spot to be in. Like, I felt bad for her in that moment. Like, you don't ever want to feel like you're the worst at literally every aspect of the game.
That's where it is, though. And realistically, she had opportunities to change her fortunes, but she got easily fooled and outmaneuvered each step of the way. So it's like, if you're not good at puzzles, if you're not good at fire, sure, you're going to have to lean on your social game and your ability to kind of see through the bullshit. And she just doesn't have that part of it either.
Would you say she's been outwitted and outplayed? Oh man, I just set Bert up for a perfect joke and then he went away. I was hoping to laugh heartily. I just explained what my joke was going to be.
Damn it.
Man, you really
Outwit, outlast, outplay.
Word.
So basically, one other thing I have to mention about the sanctuary. Did you see how Teeny was holding her fork?
No, I didn't notice.
Did you catch that?
No.
Oh my god. My girl pointed it out and I was like, oh, that's insane. Basically, you know how the fork, you have like the long stem and then the prongs or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She was holding it right at the bottom, like right at the bottom, right next to the prongs, all the way on the lowest part of the fork, and just kind of scooping things up like that. And I was like, that's not how you hold that's not how anyone holds a fork.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I need to look more at my kids' fork work. Maybe there's something to be said there. I didn't know how to cut with a knife until I was in like middle school, where you have finger down as a pressure point.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Do you just hold it like kind of like this?
Yeah, like I was shanking the steak.
Okay. All right. So yeah, Teeny lets it slip. Genevieve has an idol. She's like, yeah, tell her more about how real this fake idol is. Love that. Sam is back at camp and, basically was like giving Rachel her last respects as like, look, I wanted to play with you. I genuinely did. But like, felt like you heard my plans and just wanted to play with Sue and Caroline. So we were on opposite ends. So, it's like, I'm going to vote for you. And, kind of the same thing. Andy's like turning to her and is like, yeah, like, I respect you. And I just want you to know that I'll be voting for you as well. And meanwhile, she's like, look, I'm not mad at you guys. I'm mad at myself for losing the challenge. I love y'all. Like, we'll kick it after this. But she's definitely playing it up as like, oh, I'm so burnt. If only I won the challenge. I guess we'll see each other after this. But she knows she has an idol and is safe tonight.
I mean, just cool as a cucumber again, Bird. Great pick.
Oh, cool.
She didn't like have one single indication that she was safe. Like the way she just allowed them to talk to her and how she just kind of like took it and was cool with them. And like, you think you learn. It's like the villain in a superhero movie when he's got like Superman by the throat and he's given this speech and like there's going to be like Lois Lane coming up behind him, but he's too busy giving his speech. Like that's exactly what happens every time somebody in Survivor gets cocky and they feel like they're just going to be like, all right, there's no need to hide what's going on. I'm just going to tell everybody what I'm doing now. I'm going to make amends. We're going to send them off in the sunset. It's jury management.
Done.
But they're wrong every single time. Never be cocky.
Never be caught. It's like the number one mortal sin in this game. The second you feel too comfortable is the second that you're missing something and it'll come back to bite you.
Absolutely.
I did think her, kind of backup plan of like, do I need to use the idol? Was really smart, where she goes up to Andy and tells him that, the perception of you is that you're a nothing burger. And, realistically, you could garner a lot of jury votes at the end, but you move around a little careless, cause people to underestimate you. I think you'd have a better story against me than against Sam. And so his little AI brain starts calculating the algorithm. Is like, yeah, maybe I do need to change my perception, and tells her that he's not closing any doors. He might be open to changing, which also masterful. How is that even like an idea for him?
Well, because for I want to say each of the last 5 weeks he's flipped, right? So
Yeah.
like this is how he's playing the game, and I think he's just kind of okay with knowing that if he flips constantly, he could say, really, I didn't get through on any alliances. I made the right move every single week to end up on the right side of the boat, no matter who I was with. So for him, he's thinking it might be, another feather in his cap if he does flip again. Like, because if this is the perception of him, then he has to keep making bold moves to have a chance at the end. But I think
Yeah.
playing on his insecurity was brilliant by Rachel.
So good. She is very good at this game. So coming back to camp after the feast, Genevieve wants, the obvious answer from everybody, like, yo, Rachel's still the vote, right? But Rachel is working an angle where her, Sue, and Andy, if he flips, she can block Sam's vote and then get Sam out, or get Genevieve out rather.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Andy, he's had some great quotables. He's like, I've been on a hot streak, been pulling some real cool moves. And, he's just getting lost in his own mystique. And, Sue, her loyalty to Rachel is real. It's very simple. She's never going to win. She's always going to be with Rachel. But Andy is kind of like, will he flip or not? And he ends up having another conversation with Rachel. Says, it's best for my game to vote you out. And here's why. Like, keep an open mind, but I've got real cool moves I did. So he basically just jury management, just like, you're going home tonight, and here's why, like, I'm so dope. And then just like, boom, 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 Operation Italy, boom. I've been doing all this sneaky shit behind the back you didn't even know about. So he's trying to like win her vote right now, thinking she's going home tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But she has a fucking idol, and she's just sitting there like, I didn't know you were actually playing, Andy. Huh, good to know.
Yeah. I mean, just like Andy talking about his jury management and his strategy and everything he did really turned out to be his Achilles heel. And like, I think we, like you and I and the audience, were able to see it further out because we got to sit in on those like confessionals that they do. And when they're in front of the camera, like all he's been doing is bragging about how dope he is ever since he wasn't like the worst player on the island.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I don't think he's always told everybody else that. And so like that really gets the wheels churning for Rachel, saying, is Sam the option, or is Andy a more viable target moving forward? Because I think before he had his little hammock talk with her, she was gung-ho on Sam.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, she was like, Sam is the big threat, but then Andy was like, no, I'm the biggest threat here, and here's why. And she's like, okay, you're the biggest threat.
Knocked himself right onto parchment.
Oh my God. So tribal council, they're all kind of talking about like, yeah, who knows what happened? And then Rachel's like, can I call bullshit for a second? Andy flipped. That's what happened. Andy flipped. Why are you gaslighting me? He flipped. It's that simple.
And then it's the biggest softball ever too, because he starts going into this long-winded explanation and Jeff's like, Andy, tell me what happened. He's like, oh yeah, I flipped. But like, that was the perfect opportunity to say, actually, I didn't flip. I got two other people to jump onto a plan that I made, that I worked to perfection, and I fooled everybody else here. Here's exactly what I did and how it played out. Yeah. But instead, the jury's like, yeah, he flipped. He flipped.
He's a flipper.
Like, that's your jury management right there, is like letting everybody know, like, no, I didn't just flip. I made this baller move, and you didn't think I could do it because I'm an AI.
Yeah, I'm an AI. So, Rachel really hams it up like, oh, it's my own funeral. Oh, I'm going home tonight, but blah. And Andy's just like laying it out like, I lied to Rachel a lot. We had a personal connection, but I'm just sick of lying. So, yeah, I told her straight to her face, sorry, bud. Peace. And I love the Voldemort and Harry Potter line that, like, Genevieve and Rachel are like Voldemort and Harry Potter, like, we can't both exist. So yeah, one of the things that Rachel says at the end is, once I started adding levity, I started having more fun with it, allowed people to have more fun with me. I think it's important. It's a game.
Yeah. I think the one thing that stuck out during Tribal is almost like this Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type rivalry,
Yeah.
right? Like the two people at the top of their game, clearly head and shoulders above the others, Genevieve and Rachel, but there's like that mutual respect for each other.
Yeah.
And like even though they were very like flamboyant with how they were describing how they're going at each other's necks, they're also both like very complimentary of each other's game.
Yeah. A lot of respect there. And we'll see later how that plays out for some of the other players. But for this tribal council, Rachel says, right after all the votes are cast, she says, Jeff, only thing better than attending your own funeral is knowing you're going to wake up alive in the next morning. And everyone gasps. She brings out the parchment like, boom, here's my idol. And Sam is shitting his pants. He's like, God damn it, I'm going home. Teeny is just like gobsmacked, just again, jaw to the floor, like, whoa. And Andy ends up talking himself right out of the game. Sue and Rachel write his name down. Everyone else votes for Rachel because they all didn't know she had an idol. I don't know why no one thought of like, what if she has an idol? Maybe that's good acting, but yeah, they were just so obvious. Like, oh yeah, we're going to get you out. There's nothing you can do. Well, there's a lot you can do. Her, Sue, either one playing an idol.
Well, Genevieve alluded to it. Genevieve said, we're putting our votes on Rachel, but you never know with Survivor. There may be a trick up the sleeve. So like Genevieve's clearly probably her and Rachel are the two smartest people out there right now. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that's close.
No.
So like she was aware enough to understand what was at stake. What's funny is you had Sue and Rachel and Teeny as that threesome starting off, and 2 out of 3 of them had an idol, and no one's gonna vote for Teeny because why?
Yeah, I want her at Tribal with me.
Yeah, and then you had this ultra confident group where no one other than Genevieve had safety.
Yeah,
It's
so
like
cocky.
why were they
Letting them
so
know that-
why?
Right? Why are you so confident? You don't have safety in this game.
It was a
And,
3-3 split. You really think you've pulled Teeny so far over that there's no shot that she reconsiders? Like,
Yeah.
I did not get that like arrogance.
Again, number one mortal sin in Survivor, the arrogance. And that's what ended up biting Andy. Like, I pulled off so many cool moves, coolest moves of all
I
time.
know.
Yeah, cool. What has that gotten you, buddy?
The way he said that, I felt like I was watching like an like late 80s, early 90s movie like Rad or Airborne or something like that. Or he's like, so many cool moves, bro.
Cool. I've been like doing all these sick tricks on Survivor, bro. Just kick flipping parchments and stuff. So yeah, and Sue is still bitter about the blind side to Caroline. Says Andy with parentheses, sweet Caroline. I don't know if you saw that on the parchment.
I saw that.
But she gets her revenge. Bow, bow, bow. See you later, Andy. You got too comfortable.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like that was probably one of the easier votes of the season. Can't believe he lasted as long as he did. He did have an amazing move the week before, but I mean, his hourglass had run out a long time ago.
Yeah. So back at camp after Tribal, so that was only like the first hour or so of the show, the first 45 minutes. There's still a whole nother second half to this. So they're like, Rachel, didn't see that coming. Where'd you get an idol? she's like, I'll share, but I want to hear how Genevieve got hers. So she talks about like, yeah, I found this in the French fries at the auction. Genevieve.
No, under the pizza slice.
Yeah, same. Mine was under a pizza slice,
Yeah.
totally. And just fake it till you make it, right?
Like, that's a terrible lie. Everybody would see it under a pizza slice, right? The fries makes more sense because it's in a container.
Yeah.
You can dig down, but a pizza lies flat.
I was impressed at just how fast the lie rolled off of her tongue, convincingly. Like, oh yeah, off of a pizza slice. But Tina did say no, and initially I was like, I don't think Tina believes, and then I was like, oh yeah, Tina believes everything. So she was just, reacting. Like,
The look on her face, though, she's like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Like, that was the first time, like, Teeny knows. She's figured it out. Genevieve's toast. She said something totally stupid. She should have just said, oh, is rolled up in the napkins at the reward challenge instead of under a pizza slice. Come on.
Pizza slice, yeah. So Rachel gets up early as soon as she can to go look for an idol. They all check her bag. Genevieve goes to babysitter and, just basically make sure she doesn't find an idol. And they're just like talking about their rivalry openly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically at this point, Rachel and Genevieve are like, yeah, like one of us is going to win. And I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. And then meanwhile, back at camp, like Rachel or like Sue, Sam,
and
they're all like teeny, like, we're still here. Like these fucking girls just think they have it in the bag. What about us?
Yeah.
They're like getting super annoyed by like the bird magic aspect of it.
Yeah, they were, and rightfully so. It's like, yeah, to Genevieve and Rachel is almost like a foregone conclusion. Like, we know how this story ends. It's one of us. And like to the point that when Rachel was out looking for an idol, Genevieve's like, I don't want to be the person following her around, but I know I have to. And then they're like hugging with each other, like, oh, at least I love my enemy.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, the majority is sitting back at camp like, this kind of sucks that they're so like down with each other, right? Like, and Sam like was visibly upset, which he's been doing a pretty good job playing it cool even when the odds are against him. But he's like, no, this pisses me off.
Yeah, it's like look at these girls just basking in their own, mystique, in their own mythos. One thing that Sam does have, the one kind of angle he has is like, look, I have survived. Like I've been on the bottom the whole time and somehow I made it to the end. I don't think it's as strong of an argument, but you could kind of play that play of like, no one had my back and I had to scrape and claw through each one of these votes.
Yeah, I didn't have an alliance. And like even my twosome was over. Like, was she the first jury member?
Yeah.
She might have been. So like he's literally just put his game on his own back and he's made it work.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think that's enough. He's going to class about puppy. He's going to take credit for Operation Italy because there's not going to be anybody else who can, and Andy didn't use his moment.
No.
So that's a little bit of a resume builder. I do think he did a really good job at the start of the game. He made really smart, calculated moves. He did a great job once Sierra got voted off of not freaking out, but just kind of like recomposing himself.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to have to do something big to improve his standing. And I think if I'm him, if there is an opportunity for me to make fire, that's what I do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's always sad when you have that last desperation where it's like, I don't have a good enough resume yet. So like, please put me into fire. Like, let me win one thing so I can have one thing to point at.
Mm-hmm.
But also like just made fire isn't like gonna win if somebody has a better story.
No, not at all. But I think It is another notch on your belt, especially if you don't have to make fire and you choose to make fire. I mean, I personally view that as a dumb thing, but other people might view it as, I don't know, like a heroic thing.
Yeah. So they don't end up finding an idol. So, basically it's all down to the immunity challenge. For the immunity challenge, they had to go under a wooden pillar, just kind of dig through a pile of sand to go underneath it. And then finally they'd get to like this wobbly stand where they would take a long metal hook and then place like kind of T-shaped platforms and then balls on top of these T-shaped platforms, stacking 6 balls on top of each other, and ultimately making sure that the stack didn't fall over, which was way harder than it should have been.
It was ridiculous. And sometimes the stack would fall even when they weren't around it. I think it was just the wind.
Yeah.
So like part of it also just came down to luck and positioning, I think. And I don't know how long it took because everything's on a time lapse and they cut and they edit, but it seemed like they were probably out there a long time.
There was like a whole montage of everyone's stack falling over, and it just happened over and over and over again. And I just couldn't help but think like this has got to be the most annoying challenge. This would be the most frustrating. I would take the fucking metal thing and just start slamming the ground with it. Like I would not be a good loser for this game.
I'd be over it for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, basically you have these stacked balls on top of each other. First person to stack 6 balls wins. Genevieve and Rachel, Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, basically keep on getting to 5, and then their stacks fall before they could do a 6th ball. There was a really funny moment where like they're neck and neck. Both of them are on their 6th ball. They basically head to get the 6th one, and Genevieve's not even around her stack, and it just collapses.
So frustrating. And I had higher hopes for Sam. Like he was never in it. Sue was never in it. I don't even think Teeny got screen time, to be honest.
No, never close.
Like it was just the Juggernauts again, and it's it's ironic. Genevieve won the last one. Rachel won this one.
Yep.
So like lines are drawn.
I did love the look on her face, like the determination. Right when she was getting that 6th ball there, she's like, all right, I've been to 5 numerous times. It's collapsed on me. Like you could just see her just big breath in, just like, you got this, and kind of does it super slow. Mm-hmm. And then as the prongs are like around the stack, like I was literally shouting at the TV because it kept on like you're standing on this wobbly platform, so it's like moving, the thing kept on almost knocking the stack over. I was like, no, ah! But finally she's able to kind of like take off the prongs. The 6 are stacked, and then she just runs back to the thing to win the challenge. Rachel is immune.
She's immune and amazing. Like just knowing she's anchored in the final tribal is pretty good. Like Sue's got her idol that she has to play. It's only good till 6. And so really that limits the options. It's going to be Genevieve or Sam pretty much.
Yeah, Genevieve or Sam. And honestly, like it's been set up to be Genevieve. Like that is the big threat left if you're Rachel, So Sam, recognizing that it's between him and Genevieve, goes around and starts telling everyone her idol's fake. Basically goes to Teeny and is like, yeah, I helped make this thing. We fooled you. And her reaction, again, just heartbreaking. It's like, I can't even get myself to think straight. Of course there was no clue under a pizza slice.
Yeah.
It's like rewinding the tapes of every time I've let Genevieve trick me. Keyshawn, Saul, Caroline, I've fallen into every trap.
Every single trap, she's like, how can I be so stupid? I was like, well, I mean, it's not just like one thing, but it's literally anytime you were told something that wasn't true, you never fact checked, you just took it at face value and you ran with it, despite the same person fooling you 3 times in a maybe 4 times, like significant lies. You still go back to the same person and you ingratiate them with your trust. And like, I don't get it, but
I
I'm
don't
so
get it.
glad she finally did.
Well, sort of. Because, she goes to Sue and Rachel. It's like, the idol's fake. Genevieve has a fake idol. We got to get her out. And they don't believe her. So she's like, I know what I'll do. I'll go to Genevieve. Let's just go straight to the source and see if the lying liar is going to lie to me. And ironically, did the opposite. She's like, hey, can you just please, you fooled me so much. Can you just please level with me? Is your idol fake? And her reaction was like, oh, bummer. Damn it, it is fake. Yeah, I told Sam and I trusted him. Bummer. And now, because she's telling the truth, she's like, well, what if that's a lie? Now she's like second guessing, like,
it's exactly what a liar would say, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the whole thing that was kind of like ironic about her going to Genevieve anyways. Like,
yeah, you're never gonna believe her.
Regardless of what she says, you're still gonna question it.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Of like, oh, well, that actually doesn't give me any more insight because now she's saying it is fake, but maybe she wants me to think that. Oh, she is a lying liar.
Well, and then you go to your crew and you're like, hey, Genevieve told me this. And they're like, okay, so she clearly does have an idol now. Like, she's lied to you every step of the way. And this is another lie to get us to put the votes on Sam. Why would we do that?
And do you think it really was like a calculated Genevieve? Like, all right, I'm going to say that it is fake so they'll think it's real? Or do you think it's just her genuine reaction of like, dang it, yeah, it's fake, you caught me?
Yeah, I probably a little bit of both. I think she probably like did the calculus in her head and it's like, all right, what's the pro of me digging deeper with this lie?
Yeah. Because
Versus
if she's asked to look at it, she'll probably find it's fake anyways.
right. Versus what's the con of me just coming out and being honest finally. And like I think from a jury management perspective, if you're able to survive this vote, it's probably best to just be honest because it's going to get flushed out anyways. I mean, you're what 5 hours from the vote or whatever, like people are going to know and it's probably not going to sway them one way or the other. Either they're voting for you now or they're not. But if
Yeah.
everybody's already operating under the auspice of you having the idol, like whatever you say isn't going to sway them.
Right. Well, at Tribal, Jeff announces Rachel cannot be voted out. So at very least, she'll be making fire for winning that dope immunity. Teeny calls out Sam for telling her the idol was fake out loud. And he's like, yeah, if you want information to get out there, tell Teeny. It'll get out.
I thought that was the coolest little dig. Like, he didn't have to say it that way, but he did. And it made a lot of sense. I think everybody's like, yeah, that's true. Like, they just took it and moved forward.
And then there's a moment where Teeny's like, she's unsure. She's like, do I vote for Genevieve? Do I not? Do I think the idol's fake? Do I think it's not? And she's like, this will either lose the game or win the game for me. And I was like, well, it's not going to win the game. No one's going to vote for you. It doesn't matter what you do. You are not winning this game.
And it wasn't going to lose it for her either because, I mean, she's still not a threat regardless.
Yeah, it's not your name.
It's the vote's either going to be on Sam or it's going to be on Genevieve. No one's going to be upset by what you do or don't say. You're not on the chopping block. It's one of the two competitors.
Oh, honey, you're not even important. It thinks it's important. It isn't. Yeah, like, so that's a good point. It's not going to lose the. It's not going to do anything. What you do has no bearing on this game because you have not been playing the same game everyone else has. So she just like, I'll decide in the next 30 seconds is what she tells the camera. But there's just a pan of Jeff waiting, like everyone kind of waiting on Teeny. I wonder how long they have in there. If there's like a time limit, you know?
Yeah, I've wondered that as well because it's interesting. We only see that are the obvious ones. So for the audience at home, it's like the votes like just happen lickety split. But I think there probably are people who go up there and agonize for a couple minutes.
Yeah. Like I'd be interested to hear from like the production team of like what's the longest somebody's taken? How long do they have? What's the max amount? You know, because you see some of these like old Survivor like endurance challenges where you're like laying on a pole and they went like 48 hours and people started hallucinating. They're like, all right, we should probably put some, you know, some guardrails in place. I wonder if the same is true with voting, where they're like, we have a show to do. We have a schedule, you know, you have 5 minutes and that's it.
Oh, could you imagine being in one of those like torrential downpours and some dicks spending like 15 minutes up there and you're just like huddled together,
shivering, rubbing dirt on your face to try and keep warm,
or to just look nice.
So yeah, it was interesting to see just everyone kind of waiting impatiently, but ultimately Sue plays her idol for herself for no reason. It's just, you know, it's the last night to play it, so might as well. And it was kind of one of those like big reveals. Oh, Sue had an idol. And then Sam was kind of like, good job, you know, but why?
Had no bearing on the game. No.
Yeah. Like what a waste. What a waste of an idol, really.
Yeah.
She
could have saved Caroline.
Could have saved Caroline. Could have used it in any number of ways. Blackmail, whatever. There's been people while she had an idol that the vote went against the way that she wanted. And she could have influenced, but didn't know how.
Yeah.
So yeah, she plays her idol for herself and seems to think that that means something at all. But ultimately, Genevieve gets voted out. Everyone says, sorry, Larry Bird. Magic Johnson and the Showtime Lakers are where we're going to focus our NBA sponsorship dollars.
Yeah. I mean, it was the right move for everybody else to make. I think Genevieve would have been really tough to beat at the end. I think Rachel would have been the only person with any sort of a shot at beating her. And so it was the right move for everybody. I think Genevieve was at peace with it, understanding she played the game the best way she possibly could. And it had to fall one way or the other. It fell against her. I mean, she could have easily won immunity and it would have been Rachel. But it was going to be one of the two of them. And I don't think Sue would have been savvy enough to play anything for Rachel to save her. So,
no. So now you've got Rachel, Sam, Teeny, and Sue. I mean, realistically, who do you want to sit next to is Teeny and Sue.
Yep. Right? So yeah, it's Rachel or Sam that's going home tomorrow. I think one of those two is likely winning immunity. Just playing the odds right now.
Yeah.
And the other one's going to go.
Like if Rachel wins another immunity, guaranteed. Like guarantee win. There's no doubt in my mind. How many goddamn challenges have you won? How many things have you done? You saved yourself with an idol. There's no possible way anyone can beat her story.
Is this going to be the weakest final three ever? I mean, like if Rachel gets there,
Rachel's out.
If Rachel gets there, that's a good player, but it's going to be a unanimous vote for Rachel. if Sam's there, that might be the weakest final three in Survivor history.
Yeah. I think that. How do you think the votes land with that? Well, because actually, there was a moment where Genevieve and Rachel, while they were off idol hunting, they're like, if we didn't make it there for some crazy, 1 in a million chance we weren't sitting at the end, who would you vote for? And then they're both like, Sam. So I think it's still going to be unanimous for Sam, with maybe like 1 or 2 heart votes of like, you're my girl, Sue.
Like Caroline just gives her a sympathy vote, or maybe Gabe kicks down for calling her a little bird.
Yeah, Gabe, not Kyle. Sorry. Yeah, like you let me use you. So
yeah.
But even then, I think Gabe is like such a like respect for the game kind of guy. Like you need to. I bet he's gonna be the first jury member to be like, I don't give a shit about what happened. You have to sell me on why you deserve it. Show me your moves. I bet he's that guy.
I could see that. And I think he's probably like a little bit of a chauvinist. So he'd probably just vote with the bro.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's you want Teeny and you want Sue because neither one of them have really had any impact of their own on the game, right? Yeah. They've just kind of floated around and, been drugged to the end.
And so, I mean, for as good as the last 2 weeks have been, I really think that we're going to understand what the final decision is once that immunity's played.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the immunity plays out. And like, I also don't know because, Teeny has talked up Rachel's fire skills quite a bit, but is Rachel better than Sam at fire? And it kind of feels like Sam just is good at all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me feels like that might be the best shot is to put Sam up against Rachel if he's to advance.
Yeah.
Like, I don't see Sue or Teeny beating her at fire, so feels like you kind of have to have the Rachel versus Sam.
I agree. I feel like fire is going to determine the winner, and whoever wins out of Sam and Rachel is going to win Survivor.
Yeah. And the only way Rachel's not doing fire is if she wins immunity. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. I feel like even if Sam won the immunity, he'd probably have to put himself up against Rachel at fire. Like you have to at that point. Not only to strengthen your own resume, but to be the only chance she gets out. Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want my game to depend on anybody else, especially Teeny and Sue.
No. You think Teeny can make fire? No. Sue make fire? Maybe. I don't know. But
Rachel's a gamer. She's good at everything she does. So, I mean,
it's the best.
And that's kind of what I talked about last episode too. It's like Sam's going to have to make fire, I think. Either Rachel wins immunity and she puts him to make fire, or he wins immunity. He's like, I'm the only chance I have at taking her out. I got to make fire.
Yeah. You're so right. Sam has to be in it. Firing in all cylinders. All right. Well, that was the first half of the season finale of Survivor season 47. A twofer. Got whittling it down to the final ones. I love that my girl's still in.
Yeah, great pick. I mean, we knew she was legit from the moment she started trying to steal rice.
Yeah, that was a move. I was like, oh, she's smart.
Yeah.
It's like, who would have thought of like, oh, challenge rice? I could just put this in my pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my money's on Rachel to win it. It's Rachel or Sam. I'm leaning 60-40 Rachel to Sam right now.
I'd do 70-30 Rachel Sam. Yeah.
All right, big dog.
Just because I think that there's so many ways for her to move past.
Yep.
Like I could see her winning another immunity with the people that are still there. And if it's not that, it's the fire.
Yep. I think that's fair.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. And yeah, we will be back with the finale of season 47. Catch you guys.